What's going on, everyone? BouseFeenux here, and today I'm really kind of struggling, guys. I don't like to make a video if I've got negative things to say because, well, honestly, there's enough negativity in the world and I really don't want to add to it, but after today's dev stream, it is certainly difficult to be a little more positive. But first, don't waste your time watching the dev stream this week. I've included the link to the VOD below for those of you that absolutely have to see for yourselves, but mainly, they just read the patch notes for the 1.6 update, which I've also linked in the description below. Next, let's go ahead and get out of the way what they didn't talk about. To start, there isn't a buff for Raider coming in the foreseeable future. From what we can see in the patch notes, he's being more or less completely ignored in update 1.06, even though I think in the last dev stream they mentioned he'd be getting some love soon. So I guess the operative word here is soon, seeing as it's pretty much a relative term. It really could mean at any time in the future, so those of you maining Raider right now and hating the game for it, first of all, I feel your pain as a Kensei main. Secondly, you might want to find a different class in the meantime to switch things up and help with any burnout you might be experiencing. I know that always helps me, so I figured I'd give you guys that advice. But moving on, let's talk about new characters in Season Pass content. From what they said in the dev stream, it's several weeks out still. This could mean that we won't see new characters or maps until well into the summer. I don't think I need to explain to you guys how bad this is for the health of the game. I mean, the player base is dwindling by the day, and I know on console things are still relatively healthy, but on PC, some game modes are becoming absolute ghost towns, and honestly, just a confirmation of the new characters, or even a quick preview of what we could expect, could have really breathed new life into For Honor, but true to Ubisoft form, they're being extremely tight-lipped about the whole thing, which is understandably frustrating for those of us that have invested heavily into this game with our time and our money. Now, on top of this, real quick, because I know a lot of you have been asking about it, there was no real news of the new executions. That's still kind of up in the air. But anyway, let's move on and take a quick look at the patch notes. For this one, we actually have a definite release date, so that's pretty cool. According to this, we're looking at April 25th, which is Tuesday, for the PC, and no real defined date for consoles. Sorry, guys, but from what it looked like last week, though, the console version of 1.06 is coming a week later, so hopefully it won't be the 4 or 5 weeks it took you guys to get the last one. As for the changes, though, this patch is looking to massively address some performance and connection issues. They pretty much all say that and don't deliver, but this is supposed to be the quote-unquote big one. I'm not gonna hold my breath this time, but we'll see how it plays out. On top of this, a minor bug they're fixing is the ability to apply bleed without actually being near someone. I think I remember hearing about this where Nobushi or another assassin type character could hit you, you run away, and if she keeps attacking, the bleed status will keep applying to your character. Personally, I've never had that happen, but Jesus, that sounds incredibly frustrating. As for the characters, though, there's a few of them up on the chopping block at this time. Now, we knew some pretty heavy nerfs were coming, but to what extent, we weren't really sure, but first up, Peacekeeper is getting that nerf to her light spam. From what it looks like, the initial attacks will still be fast, but the follow-ups will be slowed down. Additionally, if she misses the first attack is blocked, or the first attack hits you, the follow-up attack will be a lot slower. This should make it easier to stop the onslaught of light spam, and in my opinion, I think this is actually a pretty fair nerf. It doesn't make her absolutely useless because the first attack still comes out quick, but it does make it easier to deal with subsequent attacks. This next change is the one that I'm actually kind of worried about. As if he wasn't powerful enough, Lawbringer is getting yet another buff. Currently, on his shove, he gets a light attack immediately after that, and if you're quick enough, you can block it. This apparently isn't the intended behavior for that combo. The light is supposed to be completely unblockable. So if you can't block it, what can you do? Well, you can dodge. Only problem with this is that while dodging, you're susceptible to untechable guard break attempts. In simple English, that means that a good Lawbringer now either gets a free light attack or a free guard break whenever he shoves, and you got a 50-50 chance to guess which one he's gonna try. Not only is this overpowered as fuck, it also helps to reinforce turtling. All an LB really has to do now is bait out attacks, block, and punish off block with a 50-50. It's gonna be really tough to deal with. Now, I want to clarify that the shove isn't the horrible part. If initiated just out of the blue, it's not too terribly difficult to get around, but being able to do it on block like that is insanely strong. I mean, unless he's about to get hit with an unblockable, Lawbringer has almost no reason to parry anything. This means that classes that rely on feints to open opponents up, like Raider, Kensei, Berserker, and so on, are gonna have a really tough time against him. Keeping it moving right along though, it looks like Warden has been absolutely gutted in this patch. We'll have to see how it all plays out when the update is actually released, but right now it's not looking really good for him. Pretty much all of the nerfs he's getting revolve around his shoulder bash. Cancel into guard break has been slowed down considerably. Cancel into idle now has a whopping 200 millisecond delay, wherein the Warden is completely defenseless for a split second. So remember that clip we looked at earlier this week where True Talent fought that Warden that kept bash canceling? Well, that Warden would have pretty much been susceptible to at least a light attack every time he canceled into idle. Now, on paper, this seems like a huge nerf, but we don't have the patch yet. Warlord looked this way on paper as well with the last patch, and honestly, I don't really feel like he's any different to fight against, so hold off on getting too upset about all this because we don't know what it'll feel like yet. But next up, taking a look at Berserker, the only thing they're doing to him is giving him back his out of stamina punish. In short, he'll be getting back the side into top heavy punish on knockdown, so at least he'll have that going for him again. For the Orochi buff, it seems to me like it's pretty underwhelming. At least I feel like it is. I don't play Orochi, but from how I've seen people play him, I don't feel like his changes will help all that much. Essentially, he's getting a buff to his deflect, something assassins in general rarely use, seeing as most of the time it's better and safer to just try for a parry. But anyway, the buff is coming to his Hurricane Blast. This is one of the two moves he can do after getting a deflect. It's basically the heavy attack version, and there's a light attack as well. The only thing it's really getting is hyper armor. Now, like I said, I'm not an Orochi player. I've barely touched the class, so to me, this doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. You Orochi mains out there might have a different outlook, so be sure to share that with me in the comments below. The last character getting some attention in this patch, though, is everyone's favorite fat man, the Shugoki. After this patch, you'll probably be seeing a lot less Oni charging if you're 1v1ing a Shugo, because the move as a whole has pretty much been absolutely nerfed into the ground. Firstly, it no longer knocks down on contact, so I'm guessing it'll be like Warlord's charge push thing. Secondly, during charge up, you now have a whopping 400 millisecond window to dodge the charge if he's right next to you. Now, this one is a big deal. So many times I've been standing next to a Shugoki in a fight and he just starts up the move and I'm on the ground. On top of all of this, the Shugoki can no longer change the direction of the charge or regenerate stamina while he's charging. It's a pretty harsh nerf, but seriously, that charge was absolute cancer, and I don't think anybody but Shugoki mains are going to be sad to see it go. So, to that, I say good riddance. But that's about all the news I had for today, guys. As a quick note, I want to mention real fast that there are new outfits in the store. It's pretty much the only reliable weekly content we get, so there's that at least. Anyway, as a whole, I don't think I'm alone in saying that every week I become more and more disappointed in this game. The fixes and the patches are super hit or miss. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they totally miss the mark on what the community actually wants. Add to that the absurd level of secrecy and teasing new content, and it's a recipe for death to this game. Which is really sad because there's a large part of me that really loves this game despite its flaws, but contrary to what the Beatles would have you believe, love isn't always enough to pull you through. That's gonna be it for now though, guys. Sorry to leave you on such a somber note, but it is what it is, I guess. Before you go though, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below, like the video if you enjoyed it, or dislike it if you didn't, and get subscribed and click the bell icon so that you never miss any new content. Until next time though, I'm BouseFeenux, I'll see you at the next one, and as always, thank you so much for watching.